Yo, what's good, y'all? We back with another video, and in this video we're here to discuss a team that might be in for a big step in the right direction next season. And as y'all can see by the title, that team we will be talking about is the Detroit Pistons, who are led by one of the best young players in the game in Cade Cunningham, who in my opinion had one of the most underrated seasons from a number one pick I think I've seen in recent history because of the hype that guys like Scottie Barnes and Evan Mobley were getting for a good portion of the year. And it made sense because those teams were having good seasons and those two players were having good years. But we cannot forget Cade is, in my opinion, the most talented player out of the three, and he is definitely a franchise player, and he is the foundation for this Pistons rebuild. But not only is Cade a reason for Pistons fans to be excited, but the rest of the roster is young, talented, and they got guys like Saddiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley, and others that are nice young pieces to the puzzle for this team. Not to mention they also have a top 5 pick in this year's draft, and they could potentially add a guy to pair Cade in the backcourt with, like a Shaedon Sharpe, Jaden Ivey, or a Benedict Mathurin. So they got a lot of things that they can go into heading into next year. And not only that, you look into this season, major indication for me that a team can make a leap or make some sort of improvement next year is always second half of this season. And in Detroit's case, I went from February 16th to the end of the year because I remember there was a stretch during the late part of the year or second half of the year where they were playing some solid basketball. So I went from that date to the end of the season, and to be honest, if you looked at the record, it wasn't anything crazy. They were 11-14. But what I do remember is they were making really good strides as a team. Guys like Marvin Bagley, who was taken from Sacramento, he had some solid games. You had Saddiq Bey, who had like a 50-point game. Cade Cunningham during that time was putting up all-star numbers like 21, 6, and 6 on 45% shooting. So they had some really good positives coming out of that stretch. And those are always things I look for when it comes to teams that are going into their next season, especially young teams. But not only is the roster up and coming and something that fans should look forward to, but the offseason and Detroit's front office is something that fans should be happy about, because Troy Weaver being the GM and doing what he's done so far has been some great things for Detroit so far in their rebuild. And with Detroit having the most cap space in the league this offseason, that can help push the Pistons rebuild forward into the right direction, because Detroit hasn't had something to look forward to in a while, and with the improvements they made and the direction that they've chosen, they got a lot of ways they can go about this. They can potentially go after guys like Jalen Brunson and DeAndre Ayton, who are two guys that would fit really well with this team. They're young, they'd fit the timeline, and they would fit the team's needs. Because the problem for recent years in Detroit is they kept getting these guys that were like good role players. And guys like Andre Drummond, who, to be honest, let's be real, even in his prime, he was like a championship 3, championship 4. You brung in Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, when he was on the team, he had that one good year. After that, was never good after that. And then you had Reggie Jackson, who was a quality player, but he still plays the role that he played back in Detroit, which was a good, solid point guard. And we all knew that that team would never win anything. So it was time to go in that opposite direction. It was time to hit that rebuild button. And so far, so good. I like the pieces that Detroit has added. And with the current roster as constructed and the potential additions that they can make in this offseason, things are looking up for an organization that has been struggling ever since losing that core championship team that they had back in the early 2000s. And they can finally be turning a new leaf, and they can become a team that NBA fans will respect real soon, because I really believe in Cade Cunningham. I really believe that he can lead a franchise far. I've always believed in him, even back when he was in college, and I think he is the right guy to get the Pistons back on track, and I love the pieces that they have. I think a key part, though, is this year's draft pick. If they can hit on this year's draft pick and get a star quality player, like if they draft a Jaden Ivey and put him in the backcourt with Cade and Jaden Ivey becomes a star, then that's a major W. Another key factor, like I said, is the Jalen Brunson and DeAndre Ayton dynamic and which player that they should go after. I think if they get DeAndre Ayton, that is huge, because Ayton is a key player right now for Phoenix, and it's looking like there's a good chance he might leave. And if he goes to Detroit, he'll fit their team. Isaiah Stewart can come off the bench, and that will also boost their rebuild forward. So a lot of good things happening in Detroit, and maybe one day, real soon, the Pistons can be an actual force in the Eastern Conference. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been The Checkup, where we talk hoops and hoops only, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.